Chris, not only are you canceling reservations, you're doing it at Airbnb's expense and reimbursing them what they would have made if these stays had happened. So this is a pretty dramatic move on your part. Who did you consult about this, and how did you come to this decision?
Yeah, Emily, thanks for having us. And a million years, I didn't think we'd be having this type of a conversation. Really, we've been consulting with local officials, mayor's office, federal officials, members of Congress. Obviously, yesterday you had the two governors, the governor of Maryland, governor of Virginia, and also the mayor of Washington, D.C., all make really clear that they just did not want people traveling to Washington, D.C. And, we have a decision-making framework that we call our stakeholder framework, where we just really consider all the issues impacting our stakeholders. And one of those stakeholders are the communities that we're in. And it just became really clear to us that the right thing to do here was to block people traveling to Washington, given all the guidance, given everything that's going on, given, frankly, the interest of our republic. We certainly did want to make sure that our hosts, who are going to be economically impacted, are made whole, and that is part of our stakeholder framework. But ultimately, this was a pretty simple decision to prioritize the public health and safety, and particularly given the guidance that we were being given yesterday from those various leaders.
Since then, the president has been impeached for the second time, the first president ever to be impeached twice. You are also canceling reservations on Hotel Tonight. I haven't heard other hotels saying that they're going to be canceling reservations. Do you think that they should be doing that?
It's a great question. I'm pretty comfortable speaking about our decision-making. Obviously, we'll let others make their decisions. Do believe that all of us, sort of thinking of Thomas Jefferson's first inaugural, where, to paraphrase, he talked about the fact that we're all Democrats, we're all Republicans, meaning that we're all Americans. And I do think we're all in a moment right now where that really should be our North Star and guiding star. And in that context, really prioritizing trust and safety. I do think, Emily, something that you and I have talked about historically, this concept of stakeholder capitalism and making decisions that consider all those stakeholders. And I do think maybe after some time passes, people will look back on this moment, and not sure anything good has really come of it, but it's been interesting to see a number of other businesses and business leaders really standing up and making decisions that are prioritizing the interests of the country. And I do wonder if this will be one of those moments where people actually saw stakeholder capitalism in action and people actually putting action to words. We made a decision based on our application of that stakeholder framework and what we thought was in the best interest of the community.
Now, how much of the Virginia and Maryland suburbs do your cancellations include? And can you give us any idea how much this will cost Airbnb, and whether you're potentially going to make some similar decisions in other state capitals across the country, given the warnings from the FBI?
Yeah, great questions. Let me try to take them individually. In terms of the geographic parameters or scope, I'm sure you'll appreciate this. We are not looking to be able to give the specifics. So anyone out there who is looking to try to evade the systems that we have in place to block calendars and block travel can take advantage of that. We're certainly applying this approach to the greater DC area, the metro area, but have been pretty careful about not giving the detailed specifics, really in an effort to make sure that people can't evade the systems that we have in place. It's going to impact roughly approximately 5,500 reservations in that area. But we also have signals that allow us to be able to change those parameters pretty quickly if we feel like we need to expand. From a financial perspective, really that never even came into the conversation. We've been removing violent extremists, neo-Nazis, really dating back to before Charlottesville in 2017. It's something that we've been doing on an ongoing basis, and those conversations just never involve how much is this going to cost or what the financial impact is going to be. Even in a case like that, really was what's the right thing to do. And I know that may sound trite, but it really was. I remember having a conversation with Brian Chesky, our CEO, and it was, he had asked, let's make sure we're doing everything possible, and never raised at all, let's look at the financial impact. It was just do the right thing. And then as it regards other capitals, you're 100% right. Obviously, governments have issued warnings, and the other day we announced a 7-point plan to sort of help address how we keep these specific types of folks off the platform. We have flexibility and adaptability to move that around. We're certainly in contact with the different states and the different governments. We've been doing this all along, and we'll continue to do it, and obviously take the learnings and apply them as we go forward, and work with all these governments to try to do everything that we can to help keep people safe in this moment.
Okay. And Chris, we've got about 30 seconds left, but you did say that you've identified numerous individuals who have been associated with hate groups or involved in criminal activity tied to the Capitol riots. Can you give us a sense of how many or where that stands?
Yeah, we've been doing that really since, and some of the history. In 2016, we introduced something called We Accept, which is a set of commitments to be on the Airbnb platform. And coming out of that, built a whole bunch of systems to be able to identify folks who are associated with violent extremist organizations, neo-Nazi organizations, and on a regular basis, really going back 4 or 5 years now, we just take people off on a regular basis when we encounter them and discover them.